California dreaming about you.
Hey, you guys, this is Skai coming to you live and direct. And thank you for tuning in. For those of you who are here at the beginning, and for those of you who've come in or joined us later, I'm going to put my glasses up so I can see better. Today, I have a very special friend who's on with me, and we're going to be discussing living your juicy life and how to incorporate amazing adventures, things, opportunities, relationships into your life to make it better. Come on, Poncho, come on in. Hey,
What's happening, Sky?
how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Wonderful.
How's Atlanta
So,
treating you down there?
how's what?
How's Atlanta treating you down there?
I like it. I really like it. As far as cities go, it's way different than like New York, Baltimore, DC. Like it's just a whole different thing. But I like it. I mean, COVID threw the whole thing into, you know, it's not, we're not really living, we're existing. But I do like it out here. It's pretty nice.
Well,
So,
unfortunately, I know you say we're existing, but this is living too. We have to process
living through
through.
it, yes,
That's right.
absolutely,
So it's not like there's a pause.
absolutely,
Real life is still going and it's going aggressively.
absolutely. So for those of you who don't know who Larry Poncho Brown is, and I can't believe you don't, but Larry Poncho Brown, as we call him Poncho, is a top, I always feel biased when I talk about you, but he's a top artist in the world. And as you can see in his background, he's in his studio, and he is a professional all the way around artist all the time, creating amazing Black art. I believe, I'm going to say this is all off the top of my head. You do paintings, mural, clothing wear,
Yes, we do.
calendars, all types of things, right?
Exactly. We do all of it. Nothing's
Everything art
excluded.
related.
That's
He
right.
is in the game 100%. He is a full-time artist doing it big, and you've probably seen his work before. And if you haven't, I want him to showcase some of his pieces here tonight so that you can see what we're working with. And I'm just so excited to have him as a personal friend. And, I'll almost consider family as well. Because I mean,
That's right, y'all.
I rely
Sky.
on him a lot.
That's
So,
my. Me and Sky go way back.
you guys, we're live. If you have any questions or comments, definitely feel free to post. And we are streaming on the Sky Juice page, the Larry Poncho Brown page, and we are streaming on my YouTube page as well. So tune in from wherever you are. And of course, it's recorded, so it will be here till the end of time.
That's right,
But
y'all.
anyway, so Poncho, it's like being as though we are living through a pandemic, how are you coping with this whole antisocial behavior? How is it working for you?
For me, it's very easy. Most artists live a isolated life anyway. This is
Okay.
just gave me a reason to not be antisocial. Artists been quarantined long before this quarantine happened, and the other thing that happens is artists have an outlet during the quarantine where some people don't. So I saw some of the most fabulous artwork coming out when the quarantine hit because folks got a chance to be off the grid, off of the treadmill for a second. The world came to a screeching halt, and they had a chance to really express themselves without the pressures of the business.
Mm. So, but what else changed? I mean, for me, the social part of living is primarily why I'm in Atlanta. I mean, that was what draw me to come to this city. I literally picked it out of the whole world. I was living in Puerto Rico, and I was like, I really didn't want to come back to the US, to tell you the truth. I was looking at moving to Africa, Ghana or something like that. But my children were like, that's kind of far. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started like looking at moving back to the US, and I was like, I really don't want to do super cold weather. Like I can't stand the cold.
Well, I
So
don't. I still don't know why you came back. I mean, of course, you said that to the viewers that are not familiar, but I know your story because you were here in Baltimore. We were. That's where I met you here in Baltimore, and I was followed you when you moved to Puerto Rico and you had the farm. You were doing all your things there, and I also know you got the hell out of there before that storm hit.
yeah,
So for you to be in Atlanta now and chasing down your dreams to change this world through your culinary talents and other talents, I think is admirable. You know, some people don't ever take that kind of leap. And the one thing that I love about you is that you are never afraid to take a leap.
wonderful. Someone just
I almost
posted, oh,
moved to
it's
Atlanta
Tony.
twice. I almost moved to
Tony
Atlanta
says
twice.
you got an echo. I think it might be you. I'm not sure if it's the whole entire broadcast, but
I'm not sure what it's doing and where the echo's coming from. Maybe Tony can tell us, is Sky echoing or if
who
I
is
am
echoing,
echoing?
Tony? If you can give us feedback. Tony is also doing podcasting with me. He's not able to be on this right now, but he's going to be on the late night ones that we're going to be doing because, we
Now
still work out
you
here.
don't have two devices open, do you?
Nope, mm-mm,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
do
I'm not
not.
sure
I
what's
just
causing it.
have my
Well, let's
one.
just do our thing. We'll figure it out as we go.
Okay. So, so for me, the whole social thing, oh, me, I'm echoing. Oh, I think I'm echoing because you can hear me in yours, right? Right, Poncho?
That
Because I
wouldn't be
can hear
enough to cause
myself
an
in
echo.
on your side.
No, that wouldn't be enough for you to echo on my side. That's not how the platform works. But I wouldn't worry about it. I would just proceed. That's why I was
Okay.
asking, did you have a second device?
No, but it's all good. I mean, it's not, I don't think it's super loud. But
Okay.
anyway, but I did come out here to because one thing I did miss about when I was living in Puerto Rico was I miss live music.
Mm-hmm.
And even though live music is definitely all the time in Puerto Rico, it was about only a few genres of music. And so having big name artists, R&B, hip hop, jazz, they weren't coming down to Puerto Rico, at least in the 8 years that I lived. I think maybe a couple people came down. And so that's the one reason why I came to this area is because I really miss concerts. But
Right, right.
so what about you? Like the whole art gallery thing and art shows and festivals and that all came to a stop.
Oh yeah, a cross section of the creatives went through a big crash when they were no longer able to do their shows, whether it be the art festivals, the convention circuit, the cultural festivals were happening all over the country. So, as a matter of fact, when they called the pandemic, I was about to head my ass down to U-Haul and get some boxes and tape because I was sure that that was going to be it. You know, that's the one straw that we don't need is something like this because our business relies on disposable income, and it also operates on a low fear level. When we are fearful, like 9/11,
Hmm.
we hold on to our money, and so when we hold on to our money, it affects a couple of other things. And art is nobody needs art. It's just an extra thing you do when you have a certain lifestyle. And so, but it ended up being just the reverse because by us being locked into a pandemic, everybody was home, and it took me a short while, to realize that my demographic was gainfully employed and just working from home, and their kids were schooling from home, and that there was an opportunity to still connect with them.
So I think you just went out. You said it was an opportunity to connect with them.
It was an opportunity for me to connect with them.
Okay. And so what did you do?
We started doing live broadcasts like you're doing right now. Technology has been on our side the last 2 decades. We're just now beginning to realize how to harness it. Zoom was available to everybody
Oh,
on the
yes.
corporate side and similar platforms. When this happened, it came down to the user level, which is anytime that happens is a wonderful thing.
Right.
Conferencing was done by business, but it wasn't done personally. There's certain things that were not extended to us that are extended to us now. And so I think in that comes a lot of opportunities. And so what I did, I basically just went online, started showing my work to the collectors that I do have, and I made more money during the pandemic than I made in the last 5 years.
Wow. That's
And so with that, I
fantastic.
took the responsibility. I'm a bit of an artist advocate and pride myself in being that. I started training other artists on how to use the platform to do just that. And I may have trained over 50 people to do it. And I think of 50 people, maybe 30 of them are doing shows now.
Wonderful. Well, I want to connect with those 50 people, um, because I want to help them as well with my platform. Someone asked, oh, Tony. Tony asked, when did you first discover your love for art?
I'm a second generation artist. My dad was an artist. He was also a teenage parent when he had me. So my dad basically gave up his dream of being an artist to take care of me and my family. I realized it very early, mimicking what I saw my dad do. Later, I would form a friendship with one of my childhood friends named Ricky Eric Toombs. He really said, "Hey, Poncho, let's draw." And I never had my dad never said let's draw. My dad was a frustrated artist born in 1945 that didn't have any outlets in the 60s, 70s, 80s to sell his work. So I came in the mid 80s and was able to take advantage of some things that he would have never had a chance to see. So I first discovered my art really three, four, five, just being around the house with my mother and my father.
Wonderful. That's dope. So I can tell you when I first met you without meeting you, I went to Lincoln University in Pennsylvania, LU, first historically black university in the country,
That's right.
1854.
That's right.
And I think it was every Wednesday we had Vendors Day. And Vendors Day over by the quad, over by the is it not the quad? It was like the what is it called? Where the food is, the cafeteria building. What is that building called?
You
That
just call it
building.
that building. There
That
you go.
building. I can't remember I want to say commissary or whatever, but it's the building that has like the bookstore. It has like a couple little like Subway and the little food things, and then upstairs is like the main food thing for the students. But
Right.
in the entryway to where you would enter, there would be a bunch of vendors every Wednesday selling books, art, um, jewelry, just like you go to like a festival.
I got you.
And there was a guy selling a picture that I connected with. It was, I believe, three women in a circle
Yep.
of different complexions, and it was
That's
just like
right.
they were like this,
That's
right?
my most popular piece. Black is
Right.
Black. Black
And
is
I think
Black
it was
was
only
released
like
in.
$10.
Yeah. Black is
So I
Black was
think you have
released
a
in.
story behind these pictures
Oh,
because what
absolutely.
happened with these pictures?
Yeah, well, Black is Black is probably every artist has their top selling piece. Black is Black is my top selling piece.
That
Came
was
out.
that was it.
Yes, it was released in 1988. It was soon followed by the male version that came out in 1992. But that piece has, wow. I was told that that piece would never sell when I first started in the business. I went to a couple of distributors to help have them publish my work. At that time, I was still very, very young, so people didn't take me very seriously. But when I showed them that piece, they looked at it and said, "Hey, it's kind of nice, but it doesn't have, it's not done in traditional medium. It's airbrush, which is kind of futuristic. I don't know how people are going to take to it." And at the time, I had another piece called Sidestepping, which was a dance piece, and they went with that piece. And that Black is Black became one of the top 10 best sellers once we put it on the market.
But remember you told me about your pieces that you didn't produce?
Yeah, well, the art business has the good, the bad, the ugly. And a lot of copyright infringement nationally and internationally, a lot of crooks in the business, dealers and gallerists. We were dealing with a little bit of everything because when this business started in the 80s, most of us didn't have any serious business training. We had the business blew up. It came back during two eras that collided. Okay, so you have the good times era with JJ painting in his house in the ghetto. And for a guy like me to see JJ or to see another person painting, I'd never seen that before on TV, especially not anybody black. Then you think about the Jeffersons, and Jeffersons were in that high rise in the sky, but they didn't have no art, which was, I
Hmm.
believe, a real lost opportunity. But then you
Right.
talk about just another stone throw away was the Cosby Show,
Yes.
and they changed everything. They started what became another art revolution. They call it now the golden age of African American art, but it was a period where gallerists, museums, festivals, conventions, all kinds of support venues open as a result of that mad rush to culture. And that's what I
Yes.
call it, was a culture explosion. The
Okay.
difference was is that technology made it possible for people to participate because remember when Good Times was out, nobody could afford to reproduce anything, and for the most part, Ernie Barnes's pieces were not accessible to the masses. It was accessible
Hmm.
to people that could afford it, but not the masses. By the time the Cosby Show came on TV, there was a major art revolution that
Hmm.
happened, and there was a
Hmm.
major revolution in printing that happened. And so
Hmm.
now suddenly we could afford to reproduce color work, and that was the beginning of an explosion that I think reverberates even today.
Absolutely. Tony asks, how far has Black art come since you first started?
Oh man, black art's come a long way. This is my 40th year as a professional artist. And so I can remember when artists had no opportunities, no outlets. And then there's two parts to the business. There are commercially successful artists, and then there are the artists in the fine art realm. I've always been around commercially successful artists, and I am my success is in the commercial realm. But fine artists were not getting a fair shake, and it's fair to say even today, Elizabeth Catlett, Romeo Bearden, and Jacob Lawrence, and all of our masters still don't get the kind of respect they're supposed to get. They're still way behind what their counterparts are getting. And yeah, we do hear an occasional story where Basquiat stuff going up high, or Kerry James Marshall's work just went to auction and got a high number. But that I think is a direct repercussion of what was happening in the '80s with the art movement.
Hmm. So art is big now, and I'm glad that this pandemic didn't make. Uh, I mean, I don't know all artists, but I mean, at least I know you, and I'm glad that it benefited you.
Well, artists that have a sense of a business mind navigate through everything. It's the
Hmm.
ones that are coming on because you got to remember, if I've been doing this now 40 years, that's two generations. There's a generation or two that does not even privy to what we went through in the '80s. And
Hmm.
so now we're watching a new group of artists that have different sensibilities. They don't understand how to mass distribute work because you got to remember when the golden age of African American art happened, there was no social network and there was no Facebook.
Right.
There was no all the things we are taking advantage of today, and so and even websites and the internet hadn't really set in yet. The internet came around 1990, and everybody's reluctant to go on the internet. I was one of those people that if it came up, I moved for it. So
Hmm.
I kind of could feel the different changes that were happening in my business, and I think that's one of the things that's always kind of kept me afloat. Is that I've always been able to see what the next turn is going to be, and this technology thing that we're enjoying right now is that next turn.
So, what kind of projects are you working on now?
Well, I'm doing legacy-based stuff now. And I have a film that I'm working on. I'm doing my directorial debut. I'm doing a documentary called "The Golden Age of African American Art," speaking to people who were a part of that movement. I'm also working on my 40th retrospective book. This is a cross section of all the printed works I've done the last 40 years. I'm producing an album. I'm doing all kinds of stuff now that's
Oh,
beyond the
fantastic.
veil of what I do. And I think that's what happens is that for a year was all about the art, but now I'm like, there's so many artistic ventures to explore.
So I don't necessarily want to just keep asking you questions, but I do find that there's certain things I want to know. But what is your, like, how are you feeling lately in general?
Health wise, I'm feeling great. I was diagnosed with cancer 4 years ago. And that was a rude awakening for me because I was a person who I felt was moderately healthy. Always was. I had been a vegetarian before. I've been a pescatarian before. I've been a eat whatever comes to me before. But I was a non-smoker, I was a non-drinker, and even today, doing all the health challenges I had, all of my numbers were normal. So I'm that weird guy that's got this anomaly happening. That's a cross section of what's happening to a lot of people. And I'll be 60 next year, and so I'm feeling great because I've really had to make a choice about whether I was going to convict myself to Western medicine or whether I was going to trust what I had learned many years before and prior on how to redirect my circumstances. And so I'm
So,
feeling great.
great. What are you eating? What's your diet like?
I'm more like a pescatarian. I did a little vegan thing for a while, but my weight plummeted down to 170. I started off, my heaviest weight was 250.
Okay.
And when you met me, I probably was like a good healthy 240, 235. Okay. I weigh like 180 now, 185. I've gone from
Okay.
a 40.
Is that where you're comfortable?
Yeah. I'm real comfortable with this way. Matter of fact, I can flex again, man. Shoot, I'm feeling
Honey.
good. I'm the size I was when I was in college now.
Wow.
So and then a turning point in my career, my art career, was that I started working with Dick Gregory in 1980, mid 1980s. Dick Gregory had the Bohemian Diet out around that time. It was the craze. He was everybody was going crazy over this thing. It was a multi-level marketing opportunity for Black people to make some money, but it also worked. And so me and another friend of mine named Reginald Turan really scoped out how we were going to meet Dick Gregory. We did, and Dick Gregory became one of the first real celebrities to endorse my work.
Wow. And you did his diet?
And I did his diet. And but what happened is that education really showed me. It taught me a lot about food, water, organic food, herbs, things that I had never really comprehended before.
I mean, he had a book, right? Because I know I read it. And he was the first person I read who talked about fasting.
Yes. When
And
I met Dick Gregory, he was on a 40-day fast.
yes, and that is where I first started reading about. I mean, you've always heard about fasting through like either church or what have you, but he came from a place of fasting through healing. And just I mean, the whole gamut of where fasting is, like even to this day, fasting is like to me the number one healing modality
Well, the thing, you're right. But what happens is you had Malcolm X, you had the Muslim movement, you had all these other things where nutrition was a part of their movement, you know. And Dick Gregory, unlike so many other the civil rights leaders, he was probably more in the ear of America about our eating habits than a lot of other people were. Like you saw Oprah do some stuff with the subject, and you saw some other people along the way who have done it, but not to the degree that Dick Gregory did.
Yeah, he put it in my
So he
mind. I
really
literally,
pioneered, hey y'all, you do have an option. Put that fried
right.
chicken down. You know.
Exactly.
And a lot of us were shocked to hear that because we believe that everything we eat is good for us. And we're still going through a lot of that even today.
Exactly. All right, we have a couple questions. Keisha wrote in, what would you recommend to a student that is an introvert personality type to help feel more comfortable with exhibiting her work?
Keisha, that's a great question, but guess what? Most artists are introverts, truth be told. Most artists are introverted and they're also isolated. And so being comfortable enough to show your work has a little to do with the personality type. I think it has more to do with understanding the creative cycle. Okay. See, artists in the beginning stage are creating for themselves. It's a therapeutic action to do what we do. But then after a while, you get to a point where you realize that God didn't give you this talent for you to fill up your house with your own artwork. And for me, most artists are using, I usually use this symbol here. This is the creative circle, but most artists get stuck here and they're creating for themselves. And there's a lot of questions that come with that because artists are basically trying to figure out, what did I get this for? How do I use it? Well, then there's this other side where you start to share it, you start to give it away, you start to gift it, you start to sell it, and that cycle will feed you for the rest of your life once you understand that it has a purpose outside of you. So I would just tell her to keep working. That's the most important thing. And then the other thing I would tell her is to share, share, share by any means necessary.
Sounds good. Tony asked, in your opinion, has the business part of art bridged with the talent part of it?
No, and it never will. And the reason being is that I think we had a misconception of how many artists actually exist. There are a lot more artists, man, than we thought. You know, Facebook came and Instagram came, and we start seeing all this stuff, and we're like, "Wow, where are these people coming from?" You thought that where I came up, you would believe that 2 people out of 20 were artists, and now we're finding out that out of 4 people, 2 people are artists. You just got different levels. People who do it for a hobby, people who do it at home, people that have the ability. My mother and my father could draw. You know, it's not uncommon for us to draw. We came from a culture. Now let's forget, the Western assessment of art. Let's start from Africa, man. Everybody in the village was used to doing different aspects of art, from baskets, weaving, to textiles, to cutting wood, sculptures, all that kind of stuff. So we come from a culture where it's not uncommon for everybody to have those abilities. So for me, I don't look at it as being any different in this country. So yes, the business part is not something that you're going to hear about because I was in art school for 4 years at Micah, one of the top 5 art schools in the country, and I never heard 2 words used the entire time I was at the school. One is art and business together, and one art and spirit together. And to me, those 2 words are like crucial. Somebody had told
Right.
me that art was a spiritual part of my personality when I was young. I'd probably be a 8-foot monster right now, you know.
Wow.
But they always made me feel like it was an extension of me, and your parents do too. There's something you can do or not do. They don't look at it. There could be stifling a part of your personality.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
So I want everyone to see what we're working with today, and I would love for you to give us a little taste of Poncho art, and also, hey, if folks want to purchase any of his pieces or whatever he has, then definitely speak up. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm just going to show a couple of pieces so you can get an idea what we're doing. Everything that we got here is for sale. If you have a question about something, I'll let you know where to get these things. My new website, the LarryPonchoBrown.net, has these pieces. This first item is just a desk calendar that I came up with. We wanted to design a perpetual desk calendar that would have, it would run from the time you purchase it to the time, to the same time next year. And so it has my artwork, has calendars on it, on both sides. Nice little set, costs $10. If you decide you want this, anybody that wants to get any of the pieces I'm going to show you, because I'm going to show a few pieces and me and Sky are going to talk, and then we'll show some more pieces later on. But if you want the desk calendar, it sells for $10. If you want it, just put in your comment stream item number 1 and the word sold, and we'll circle back and get to you. Now, you can send me, also DM me, your email address and shipping address to The Art of Poncho on Facebook, and we'll make sure you get your items. So I'm going to show 3 items, and then me and Sky are going to talk some more. This is item number 1. If you want that desk calendar, just put item number 1 and sold, and we will put that in a little bag for you.
hello.
Item number 2 is something we just developed this year. Jennifer Ayanna Harrison, she did the affirmations on these cards. This is an affirmation card set. It's about 12 cards in the package. It's got my artwork on one side, affirmations on the other side. You can give it to somebody as a gift. You can put it in their hand. You can put it in a card. I think we all have words of wisdom that keep us going. And so we developed this to try to keep that going. So if you like that item, just put item number 2 and sold in the comment stream. and we'll get you that for just $8. $8 for the affirmation card set. Item number three is a spirit note card set, because we found during the pandemic that people were so isolated they weren't able to hug, talk, whatever. And so we said, why don't we just reinitiate our note card series? This is four of my paintings, comes in a package of four cards with four envelopes. We call this the Spirit Note Card Set. And if you like that, just put item number three, the Spirit Note Card Set. It's just $3. So, I mean, just $10. And so we have pieces that range on the low end all the way up to the top end. And that's how we do our work. So get back to you. We can talk about some other things, and we'll come back to this presentation. You're muted. Unmute yourself.
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
All right, let's talk about my favorite conversation, love. How are you loving these days? Start there.
Wow, that's a powerful question. And we would need another 3 hours and some
Hey,
joints
let's
and some
do it.
alcohol.
Let's do it.
But the
No
reality
alcohol.
is, I think that I'm loving better because I love myself more. I'm not governed by other people's love at this stage of my life.
Gotcha.
I got a kid that's 31 soon, a daughter that's 35 soon. The things I wanted when I was in my 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s, this is my last year of my 50s. I've had a chance to do all the fantasizing. I had the styles of women. I had to this, I had to that. I went through all that. Ones that have education, ones that don't have money, don't. I have every flavor. I've been through it. Love for me is loving yourself. Because once you love yourself and you are mature, you have room for people to be who they are. Because now we're in a situation where black life is so complicated, man. We had the civil rights movement, the women's rights movement, and all kinds of stuff go down to totally disrupt the black family. And women are staying selfish. It's all about them. I'll give you like a little analogy.
Let me hear about this.
All right, so when you hook up with the average woman now, she's got kids from maybe a couple of relationships. She may have been married once. So when you hook up with her, you're already second. Okay?
Because of her children.
Because of her children, you're second. Now, if she's the new generation of women who's enamored with her animals and treats her animals like pets, then you're almost three. And you gotta just deal with this, right? Whether you like it, don't like it, whether you air it, don't air it, it's just the way it is. But how can you expect to be first if the average man is going to already be second or third? So for me, when you talk about love, love is one of those things that gets this conversation so complicated.
Yeah.
Not only that, the role assignments of men and women have been totally skewed.
Yep.
So it's like we don't know what to do anymore. I see most of my friends are women in their 50s and 45 to 65 to 75. Their stories are all the same. They fine as I don't know what. They're in great shape. They got their own money, and they're all lonely because they have not been willing to share with a male, and they have this philosophy that they don't need men. That men are X, Y, and Z, and I'm so sick of that whole paradigm because I feel like every man you pick was your responsibility. So if we're going to say your guy was an asshole, you picked an asshole. Don't hold it against the world and the next three guys because you picked an asshole or you had children by an asshole.
You just jumped into the whole deep end, okay?
Well, I mean, the thing is, you started off with love, and I'm of the philosophy of Tina Turner. What's love got to do with it?
Well,
love is a part of the relationship that needs to happen. I think there's a lot of fixations and fantasy that goes with the word love. I think that we all have our expectations, but for me, I'm on this page now of partnership and balance.
absolutely. I I'm totally with you on that. So I definitely have alternative views about that whole piece that you're talking about, but I think I know where the problem comes from. At least I've thought about it. And, you have to understand, like, let's go back a couple generations, right? A couple generations ago, women specifically were taught to find a husband who is a provider, protector, et
Oh,
cetera, et
I got
cetera.
it. I
That
know.
is the conversation my grandmother had with me. Like, that is what she said. And her husband was there till he died. And
Well, to be
and there
honest, Sky,
really wasn't, say it
that the
again.
conversation started way before that.
I'm
Because
sure,
you
but
got
I
to
just
start, you have to really start with what happened to our people. You can't expect people to have normal relationships under the conditions that we were brought to this country. So now I get you that
well,
that's what
yeah. I mean, we
traditionally
can go
what
to
we're
the beginning of
taught.
time. I'm
But if you
certain, but
look
I'm
at
just
how black people were brought to this country and the rights that they had and the abuses the atrocities that they dealt with just in in the relationships, then
oh, and
it tracks back to a lot of the problems we're having even today.
absolutely. But speaking on this particular track, for example, my grandmother spoke and had her reality was different. She was provided for. She didn't have to work. She was really a project lady. She kept the house. She did the whole, wife thing, and she kept up her home. I mean, my grandmother made pillows for the couch seasonally,
Right.
that kind of thing. So now my mother comes along, my mother's born, and she comes along, and her story is different. She is taught to be the independent woman who's got
Exactly.
5 businesses going all at the same time. And the only requirement a man needs to provide is to be there, to stand next to her and, wear this outfit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And that's a drastic difference between those two ideologies.
right.
I have
And
those
these are
same
the two,
ideologies in my
look,
family.
these are the two women that raised me, right? So you get one story and you get another. And I think there's a lot of women in this generation that are confused by what to choose, because the truth is you can't do both. It's very difficult to do both. You get what I mean? Like, you really have to choose one way or the other. You can't be the wife.
Well, see, but
The wife.
now there's way to more than one way now. That's acceptable.
Well,
There
I know
were not
that.
a lot of ways that were acceptable. But what you didn't mention is that while your grandmother may have been the housewife type of role, that we're still not talking about how your grandfather was and his brothers were and
Right.
how they were navigating through love and how they were navigating through relationships, because there was just as much dysfunction happening then as there is now, if not more, you
Absolutely.
know. And so this union of love thing, I'm not against unions of love. I'm not against love either, but I don't think we ever really learn how to love.
You
I
said
think
that, and then I read the comment that was posted. Tony said,
no, we never learned
"Our
how to love.
people never
Our
learn how to love."
our
Okay.
unions were first forged by who was the strongest and who could be interbred and who could do this. We had to live through the master and even all of his freaky friends and probably his freaky wife screwing not just the women and the children, because we have our own view of even a rape. We don't think that the men were being raped either. They were, just like cattle, you know. And so if you didn't have any respect for life and we weren't looked at as people, how can we as people assess slavery and remove the fact that the men were getting screwed too?
Right.
Okay, and then it was accepted for you to mate with whomever to extend the family. And then the civil rights movement and many things came. We got freed and all these other things happened. But trying to learn how to be civil was another whole concern. And then other things started happening. You got the women's suffrage movement that was coming along. So now we got all these movements. What's happening with love?
Right. It's on the back burner.
And no matter how you were raised, I talk to women now. I tell you, the funny thing about the 21st century is that women have become more men and men have become more women. We
That is
both have
true.
that duality, but women now look, I don't need you. I'm good. I got my shit. Oh, I'm not going to just sit here with these babies. I'm going to do my business. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And you still going to treat me like I'm number one. And the guys are like, oh, well, what do I do next? And they go into their skin, you know? And
Oh
that's
my
not
God.
count all the other things that's happening. But no, love to me is important.
It
I think that
is.
for me, see, most women always looked at what I do as another woman. Let's
It
forget
could
the
be.
fact.
It's time.
Well, I mean, they look at it as like another woman. If I spend 24 hours here, 12 hours here, that's a problem. And
Right.
then if you to deal with the notoriety piece that came with it that I wasn't expecting, and if you look at the demographic of that, it's 90% women buying art. That can present a lot of problems if the person is not
Secure in
secure in
their,
themselves.
absolutely.
And so, that's always an issue. So we can't just talk about love, we have to talk about all the aspects of, and you and I, we've had so many conversations about that. We can't pretend like this is the first time we talked about this
Well, I just think
because
people need to know. People need to know
yeah.
that they can have it all. They can have the love that they desire. I just find like, what did I just watch today? I just watched, and I was told to watch it. Here's the funny part. The interview with Kevin Samuels and Joe Budden, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's so super controversial, but I think he makes a lot of really good points. However, the part about, a lot of women are looking for a husband because it's that same story, right? It's that same story. A lot of women are looking for husbands. A lot of women are single, but they're still looking for husbands. But then on the other hand, a lot of men really don't want to get married. They really just like really want their peace and their freedom. And so either A, they reluctantly get married, and then you have this horrible, eventually horrible marriage because he really was like, I really don't want to lose you, but I really don't
Okay,
want to
but you
tie
just
down.
but in the fairness, you went to two extremes.
I
You went
did?
to Yes, you did. You said women want to be married and men don't want to marry. But you didn't say there's four categories. There's women that want to be married, there's men that want to be married, there's women that don't want to be married, and there's guys that don't want to be married. You can't just
Okay.
switch from the woman that wants to be married and the guy that don't because the dynamic has changed. Many women don't want to be married. And the ones that do want to be married, well, that's just another whole conversation. I've talked to women who said they wanted to be married, and I was in a relationship with them, and they didn't say they wanted to marry me. They wanted the prospect of being married.
No, wait a minute.
I
You
have
said
dated
that last
women.
part?
I have dated women who had looked at me and said they want to be married while we were dating.
They wanted to be
And
married?
yeah, they wanted to be married. And so I'm like, okay, you either saying that because you want me to marry you, or are you just saying that because you want to be married? Married and married to me is two different things.
Yeah, that's the whole.
Right. So my thing is that there are many people who are in the mission to be married, but then I think what happens now is that we're all getting older. The conversation about love is so vast now.
Different.
It's not a 20 when we were 20-year-old conversation or when we were 30-year-old conversation or when we were 40-year-old conversation. Now that we're 50 something year old conversation, and
Yikes.
each one is different, and we keep
True.
comparing each one like it's the same. Okay, you want to see me get a nosebleed? Just mention a baby.
Same here.
I mean, I know I look
Same
young
here.
and I probably look a lot of different ways, but if you want to see me get a nosebleed,
So
just
wait a
talk
minute.
about having
Wait a
children.
minute. Women want children. They're talking to me. They want.
Women are still mentioning children to me at
Oh,
59 years old.
that
What
don't
is
make
wrong with that
sense.
picture?
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make sense, but it's happening because
Wow.
many women have put off having children, and many
Mm.
women have put off having gotten married. And so that's another whole demographic of women that's out here right now who have put that stuff off to build up who they are. And then they look back and everybody's had kids and everybody that's been married once or twice and they feel left out. And
It's not all
Kevin,
that
look, you
bad.
can feel how you want to feel about Kevin. Kevin, I agree with some of his stuff, and
I
I
do.
don't agree with some of his stuff. But the one thing he does hit on is the mentality of black women today.
Mm.
He got that thing down. If you got
He's very
skin,
eloquent in his speaking.
yeah,
He
if you
rubs
got some
people
skin,
very
because you got to
wrong.
have some skin to watch him, because he's
Yeah,
going to
you
tell you the
do.
truth. But
Yeah,
when he starts talking about behavioral patterns of black women, he's so on point. Now this
right.
old high class man thing he got, I don't really get that, because there's a whole lot of garbage men that would take care of your ass.
True.
Got good credit,
I
got a
like
good
what
job.
Keisha says. Keisha says partnership. I definitely think partnership is really more valid
Well,
in
that's what's up with me at this point.
2021.
At this
Yeah,
stage of my life, it's got to be not just a partnership, but there still has to be a harmony.
well,
Because a
that,
lot of people bring a lot of drama, a lot of open bags compared to what they've been through in their life. And look, I wasn't responsible for that. Close that bag up. I'm looking
right.
for somebody that can, I don't want nothing from you, but respect.
Absolutely.
And respect is a big word. It goes a lot of different places. People say, I'm going to give you your space. How can you give me something you don't even own? You can't give me my space to do what I need to do. I got it already,
Right,
you know?
right.
So no, I'm looking for, always looking for a loving relationship. But since some people don't even understand what love is, I got loving relationships all around me.
Right,
And it's no
right,
different. It's no different to me. I know
right,
the concept of being in love. I got that. But love has a basis to it.
right.
But respect is in there all the time. Being
All the
able to
time.
listen, being able to help somebody build what they're trying to do, being able to contribute in that kind of way. Some people have a one track mind. It's like, hey, what can benefit me? And that's all that's important. And unfortunately, a lot of that's happening with our black women. They've been through so much stuff that they feel entitled to love. And you can't feel entitled to anything.
I love your perspective.
You can't be entitled to anything. You got to be willing to put the work in. You got to be willing to submit in your way to
You
whoever it
know
is you're
that
trying to
word comes
balance.
off. That word comes off very
I know women hate to hear the word submit. It's like, oh my God, no, no, but it's that's the kind of ebb and flow. It's a balance. Something has to give and take, and ebb and flow to keep a balance. Balance doesn't establish itself. Something's got to
right,
give. He's got to
right,
know when to submit. She's got to know when to submit. But if you're not willing to submit, y'all both be in divorce court like really quick.
right, right.
But so it's a complex conversation.
I know it is. I definitely have another track, another avenue to go down with you to see if like how you feel about co-parenting. Because, as we talk about relationships or love and what have you, and you mentioned women come with kids and what have you. So they have to navigate these co-parenting relationships. They have the other person who created the whole child thing, they have to navigate how that works. And I just see so much toxic relationships in the co-parenting world that is so detrimental to the children themselves. What would your
Be-
take on that be, I guess?
well, see, we keep breaking things apart. Okay, so you're talking about co-parenting, but if he's an asshole and has proven to be an asshole with your relationship, he's likely going to be an asshole as a parent. Now,
Gotcha.
if he's
Period.
mature and can separate things out and he's a good father, because we don't ever talk about a good father. I know a lot of good fathers. I was one of them.
Yes.
Okay. You can call whatever behavior I had, but I was always a good father, you know. So it's just complicated. And the more things you bring up, the more complicated it's become.
But some people don't realize that they're assholes in that situation. I mean, you know, I know cases. I mean, you can come up with any case, but I
I
know
was going to
cases
say, we
where
probably could come up with
no, I can
cases
come up
all
with
night.
99 million cases. It's not only guys. This is
No, it's both
this is male,
sides. No,
female.
no, our
But there are
conversation
cases
is
where
about
like
both sides.
women, a man is trying to be a father to his children, and he is trying to do the right thing. And I don't even consider that a try. He's just doing it, right? And women, the woman is like, well, I don't want my children around any women or females. Now they say females that you are around. I don't want my And that's just not fair. That's just not fair to say. Like anytime a woman says that to a man who's fathering, you know, you're not being fair. He's moved on with his life
You
and
know
he's
what?
still parenting.
Life is not fair. But if I had 10 women in a situation that's breaking up with a guy, a lot of them are going to levitate to some behaviors that's not cool. It's about power. It's about control. And they will use the kids as power and control. I have had some of it in my own relationship. God forbid we got past it and we're in a better friendship relationship than we've ever been. But that's kind of what happens when relationships break. That's when you find out really what kind of parent or what kind of mother you are. Because we've watched, it's easy to talk about a man that's not honored his role as a father, but we don't talk about the destructive women who
Absolutely.
have blocked constantly the interaction
Absolutely.
between the father, you know. And
Absolutely.
then it's just so we've reached a time where the guy was easy to be the fall person, and as we become more and more civilized, we're realizing now there's always been more to the equation. Women have been
I
at the
know so many
source.
guys who had to pull away from the situation because they were just literally abused and made to feel and made to be treated like trash. And they just decided, you know what? I'm just gonna pull away.
Male emasculation takes place under some really grueling
Trash.
circumstances. You have to
And women
be
need to
you have to
recognize
be a
that they are the
specific
cause of this.
there's a
Very
specific type of
immature.
there's a specific type of toxicity that would make you emasculate a person.
It's trash.
But it exists. So,
It's huge. I think it needs to be talked about more because it goes into the realm of parental alienation, where they try to make children go against the father or the
okay,
other
but
parent,
but
even the
see,
mother.
the thing that happens with this guy is maturity. You can't teach people maturity. They either have it or they don't. While we're looking at what kind of car you drive, how cute you are, how you look in suit, you know, you're not looking at the other stuff. And I still say, if you're not looking at character, you deserve whatever you get. If it's based on a set of a schematic of what you think you need for happiness, you grow every 5 years. So how can that schematic seem to stay the same for too many years?
Right.
If it's based on character, then you probably won't have as much toxicity in your life. You
Mm,
don't have to agree. You don't have to disagree. But if you're talking to somebody who's not mature, be ready.
exactly.
Because people
Someone
act
said
like,
that
hey,
the age
look,
of
people
maturity.
act like, oh no, he just one day started doing, no. People just don't start doing shit. That's rare. You just weren't tuned in. Your third eye was shut. Your intuition wasn't working. I even have people now that distrust so much when they meet you that it's almost like being scouted by the FBI just to be able to go and get a sandwich.
Mm, crazy.
I ain't did nothing yet. So balance, harmony. That's kind of I'm looking for that in this stage of my life more than I'm looking for love.
That's beautiful.
Because for me it equates as the same thing.
Absolutely.
Because I had
Hmm.
the other stuff. I had the other stuff. I've been there.
Right.
Every 10 years, the things you want changes. That's why so many divorces happen because one partner totally outgrew the other partner.
Yeah.
He's the same asshole he was 10 years ago.
Right.
You can't take it no more. But
Right.
now you got a kid by him. And then
Forever.
how, depending on how both of you all act, it affects the kid.
Right.
This thing is so multi-generational. But now it's just there's so many different types of relationships that's accepted today, which means that even more bullshit's coming down now.
Well, I think that's good that there are different relationship types because not everyone fits in the old school conversation anymore. Like that
No,
doesn't work for everyone.
no, it doesn't.
That
And
really doesn't work.
I think that's fantastic, though. The fact that we're coming out now and realizing that there are other types of relationships. When they pass laws to protect the LGBTQ community, and there's so many other movements that affect how relationships are governed and seen.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at what happened with Cheerios when they put the first interracial couple on a commercial. People lost their minds. They just went
That's crazy. I
completely
just think
crazy.
that,
But then after they got used to it, and this is an art conversation. Again, I'm gonna switch it back. When that happened, y'all all gasped, and some people thought it was cool. And then they did a second commercial where she was pregnant, and people really lost their minds. But it was still
you said
acceptable.
what,
And
Cheerios?
now, yeah, Cheerios. They were the first person to
Wow.
do an interracial commercial. But now what happens is that they realize by showing multiple demographics on commercials now. So now you see more interracial couples in more commercials than you ever saw before because now they can racially control who they're speaking to in commercials. And
Right.
so this art thing, this image thing, and I take pride in being an image maker. That's what I am. That's what I do. My job is to create positive images of who we are and positive reflections of the different facets of our lives, not just the stereotypical stuff, you know.
Absolutely.
And so I have to look at behavior. Artists always look at behavior. We have to do that to come up with some of the subjects that we portray. So artists are normally very good readers. They normally can assess a circumstance. They definitely feel the world different. They definitely articulate the world different. I didn't say better or worse. I said different. And that's what the strength of talking to creative people is. You know, they can give you another whole perspective on what's being presented. But as far as love goes, yeah, I love being in love.
Love is
But
great.
but balance thing for me, you want me to, yeah. If I got a balance, that's going to take me to a different place. And at this
Right.
stage in my life, I require a different place. Love is not
Absolutely.
enough for me.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I do. Do you have any more art?
Yes, I do. Let me see
Let's
what we
do
got
it.
here. All right, this is the piece that we talked about earlier.
That's
This
my
is Black
piece.
is Black. This is the one that most people know of by me. We're going to offer this mini print set to you today. If you like this piece, this is item number 4. It's a Black is Black. This is a mini print. The
That
mini
was
print
the
sells
first
for just
piece of poncho art I've ever had.
$10. That's right, y'all. This is the one.
That was me on the top.
You definitely are you on the top.
Yes.
It's, so I don't know why my there it is. That's item number 5 was the male version, which came out in 1992, and that has my face in it. A lot of people
I
don't know
see it. I see it.
that.
You're on top.
That's how I looked at 92.
I love it.
If you want that piece, just put item number 5 sold in the comment stream, and we'll get that piece to you for just $10. I got some more expensive pieces here too, but this piece right here is called Millennium Mask. And you know, in 2000, before the millennium flipped over, everybody was freaking out. See, the people think that due to the pandemic, it's the first time folks went and raided the
Freaked
store
out,
of all the
right?
toilet paper and water, right? Well, 92K,
Right.
they thought that the world was going to end, the computers were going to crash. And so I did this series out of sarcasm. It's like I wanted to do a series of masks that were based on African fabric and African symbols, but I wanted to look futuristic. So that's
Very
how this
cool.
came. So we did
Very
a
cool.
female version, and a male version. These
I
pieces are
love
fairly
it.
large. They're like 22 by 30 inches, but they're only
Love it.
$40. If you decide you would like this piece, this is not for everybody, y'all, because you get 2 of these on your wall, you're gonna definitely be making a statement. Item number 6, if you decide you want this, just put 6 in the comment stream, and we'll get this piece to you. Remember to send me your email and your mailing address through DM. Mate to this is item number 7. Let's see if this is working right. This is item number 7. This is actually the male version. Same concepts, I think, with symbols. It's got a Jinyan man in his head. It means fear no one except God. And, you know, whenever you see texture patterns on kente cloth, each one of those areas means something completely different. But this is Millennium Mask number 1. And it's the 20, measures 22 by 30 inches. If you want that piece, like you want the other one, because it makes a great set, just put, it's for $40. You can get item number 7. Okay. And I'm going to show you one more. Now, this is a special item that we did. We did a swag box that we released in March. and we are getting towards the bottom of swag box number one. That's what this is. You get 11 items in there. It's got cards, it's got calendar, it's got postcards and stickers and pins and buttons and all kinds of good stuff. Makes a nice gift to somebody who's still isolated at home. If you want to get the swag box, this is the last time you'll get to see this because we're getting ready to introduce swag box number two. Then just put item number 8 in the comment stream. And this piece will be coming to you. And it makes a great gift, y'all. Show some love. People tired of getting a Zoom by you. So
Exactly.
we got to
Exactly.
do. They got us not hugging, not doing all this other
You
stuff.
people are so Zoom crazy. They're like, here's a Zoom link. I'm like,
I
can't you just
know.
call me directly on the phone? Like, we got to Zoom just because we can't, like,
It's
people
it's
go
it's
Zoom
forced. It's a
crazy.
for me. A Zoom is a forced intrusion.
It is. Like,
Yeah,
oh, let me
because
send
now
you
you
my
got to
Zoom.
sit
I'm
there
like,
with your and
no.
you got to keep your camera open for somebody, so for them to feel like you real. I don't put my picture up half the time, and I'm thinking about putting a picture up that has me doing like this or something. Because I'm so tired of people and their Zoom behavior. That's another thing
Exactly.
that's not going to change anytime soon.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you like my whole little podcast vibration? What are you feeling?
I think it's fantastic. People need to talk. People need to start sharing ideas. That's what's wrong with us, man. We get so caught in one frame of mind.
Absolutely.
And we wrestle the same issues with old mentalities and old resolutions, or we
Right.
repeat old stuff, not
Right.
really talking about how complex things are now. You
Right.
know, um, I like coming up with solutions.
Me too. I have good ideas on a lot of things. I just definitely always feel so alternative. Like nothing. I'm never like the whole sheep thing. I'm going this way. You know what I
I
mean?
know.
Like,
I think if I didn't learn anything about Sky, that's what I learned about Sky.
yeah, I cannot follow the crowd at all.
And I can't
Doesn't
say that
work.
I do either. I'm not a crowd follower.
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person that I'm going to put my foot out there first. I'm going to leap first. I'm going to try some things. I'm not worried about, scratching my chin.
Right.
Comes with the territory,
Right.
and that's what I admire about how you approach what you do. And
Absolutely.
then as entrepreneurs, we need to share that energy with people too, because people looking at what we do, they don't have no idea what our 24 hours look like.
Mm.
Most people saw my 24 hours, they go, oh, hell no, I ain't, I can't do that.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
respect me. That's all I'm
Yes.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah. Put some respect on my name. Absolutely. Well, this was fantastic. I feel totally excited. I'm gonna do this as often as possible. I got Tony B, who is gonna come and join me as a co-host as often as we possibly can, and we're gonna get together. And we definitely want you to come back on again whenever we can get
Oh,
you.
I would love to be a regular on your show,
Oh,
darling.
okay, okay,
Because
okay.
we're
We
gonna
could
do
talk
a
about some
full
other stuff.
we're gonna
You know
do
what
a
I'm
full
saying?
art show. We just wanted to give people an introduction to what
I
we're
mean, art is
doing.
life. Art
Yeah,
is
it
life.
is. It
If I didn't
is.
have art in my life, I would die. Like it is so a
Well,
part of the way I
what
think.
we do, what we do is so married together. Between food and art, the two go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
People don't know they need
Absolutely.
it till they're without it.
Absolutely. 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 Yes. Yes. So thank you all for tuning in. If you love it, like it, share it, you know what I'm saying? And subscribe to Larry Poncho Brown on Facebook, on his Facebook page, on his YouTube page. Definitely,
Please
if you
do.
didn't subscribe to Sky Juice page, please do that. Look for the Tony B and Sky Juice page. I mean, just stay connected. That's basically it. That's all it is. It's just let's stay connected.
We can do it.
Let's
We can do it now like
communicate.
never before. So we got to use these
Absolutely.
mediums to help and keep the dialogues going.
Absolutely. Love,
Because
love, love.
everybody can contribute.
Absolutely, and definitely, order some Larry Poncho Brown art. Check out his stuff. In fact, did you tell everyone I was like your first model? Did you tell
Yes, she
everyone?
was a model for my clothing line. I've tried to get Sky to model a couple things for me, but she's always on a run. You got to be able to follow her from country to country.
Yes,
Well,
let
I'm
me
gonna
tell
show this
you.
little commercial before we head out, so you can find out where to reach me.
Hot.
So that's where I can be
Hot,
found.
fantastic.
I'm also going to be helping out my sister Sky with what she's doing. So y'all
Thank
going to see some
you.
little things on the show the next couple of weeks.
I
That's going to bring
appreciate
her up to
it. I
speed.
appreciate that.
That's
Some
right.
technology.
That's right, y'all. You got to have it.
Absolutely. All right, so I will talk to you later. And everyone, love to you all. Peace and soul.
Have a
See you
great
later.
evening, y'all.
California dreaming about